Hey everyone, it's Reverend Dr. Katie. All right, I am on a phone today. I'm usually on my computer, but I'm in an Airbnb that does not have great internet. So here I am, and there was a post that came up earlier in the group. I'm just going to read it because I want to talk about it and give you guys some practical tools for how to deal with stuff when this comes up. Okay, so someone posted a meme that they had seen on a friend's wall. They were wondering how to talk about it. So great question. And the meme says, or the photo says, the Bible is very clear about witchcraft and sorcery. Do not touch it. Transcendental Meditation, Tarot, Oracle cards, Breathwork, Yoga, crystals, runes, pendulums, psychic readings, manifesting. Do not play with dark forces. Do not invite them in. Trust in God alone. All right, so there's only one part of this whole photo that I agree with, which is trust in God alone. But God also gave us common sense. God gave us tools. God gave us gifts that we can trust in. So this is a kind of pose. We see it all the time, right? Like, this is not the only one. We see it all the time that is kind of anti like everything and thinks that humans are inherently bad, and it thinks that humans are inherently not able to trust themselves. I actually completely disagree with this. I think God gave us experience. God gave us lots of wisdom to be able to trust our own instincts. So I'm going to just break this down kind of line by line, right? So the first one, the Bible is very clear about witchcraft and sorcery. I actually beg to differ. I don't think that the Bible is super clear about that. The words that are used that we translate as witch, as sorcery, as sorceress, when you think about it, if you go back and look at a bunch of translations, they're translated very differently. We actually don't know a lot about what a lot of those words meant in the ancient world. And it is true that some biblical authors didn't believe in using those kinds of tools, or sometimes they were xenophobic. They were often saying that foreigners were the ones practicing this and that they shouldn't practice them, whatever the tools were, but they never actually spell out what that means. So they don't say don't practice witchcraft and then what it means, don't practice sorcery and then what it means. It just says don't do it. And we don't exactly know why they were saying not to do it. We just know they were saying not to. They all have a sort of particular time and place. We see lots of other places in the Bible, though, where they were using tools like Urim Thummim, the stones on the breastplate of the high priest. We see in Acts that they selected the apostle after Judas died by suicide. They selected that apostle by lots. We see other little hints that people were practicing witchcraft or sorcery, which doesn't mean the same thing then as it does now, in these different kinds of ways. So actually we see that the Bible is very diverse. There's not one unified voice. There are many voices within the Bible saying many different things about these different practices. I'm going to keep on going about that for just a minute. We shouldn't assume that the Bible has one voice on anything. God has given us the gift of diversity. So on any kind of topic, we're going to find a lot of different perspectives, even within the Bible, which is actually really cool because God doesn't expect you to turn your brain off. God actually expects you to use it and wants you to use it to really dig deep, to, do your own research, find out what you think it meant, and then if that applies to you today. And that's kind of a whole separate question. Okay, so the do not touch it. I think we've gone there. Then I'm going to go through this list because this list is fairly comprehensive, and I'm just kind of curious about it. So Transcendental Meditation. I don't know what Transcendental Meditation has to do with witchcraft or sorcery, the way that the person who made this meme is understanding it, but like nothing. And so I think what this is trying to get to is that this author, whoever wrote this, is assuming that Transcendental Meditation is actually teaching you to trust your intuition or trust your heart because you're doing meditation in order to get in touch with those inner parts of you. I say go for it personally, because like Jesus is going to be there right with you the whole time, right? Where are you going to go that you're getting away from Jesus while you're meditating? Nowhere. Okay, Tarot, Oracle cards. I think those are funny because those are specifically not mentioned in the Bible, like at all. They're just not. So this is again where we have to use our own wisdom, our own discernment. What can we take about the ancient world and the context in which the Bible is written, things that the Bible may have said about these different tools or these types of tools, and apply it to our lives today? So that's kind of we could do a whole class on how to do that and how to interpret the Bible. And every person is going to encounter this differently, but I just think that's kind of humorous because like the Bible is very clear about witchcraft and sorcery, and then it starts mentioning stuff that's actually not mentioned in the Bible. So are tarot and oracle cards part of witchcraft and sorcery? Well, actually not. I know plenty of witches who use those kind of tools, but they don't have to. vice versa, right? So it's not like this is a one size fits all. I know lots of people who are witches who also turn on lights every day, and so do I. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. Okay, breath work. I don't even know where to go with this, like at all. I mean, I'd say I know what they're going for. We all do, right? But like, don't practice breath work. I really enjoy breathing as a human. I don't know about you. I think breath is really important. And actually, the ancient Hebrew word for breath, ruach, and the ancient Greek word for breath, pneuma, is also the same word for spirit. So actually, I think doing breath work is a really beautiful way to connect with your own heart, your own intuition, and also with God, who works in us through those ways. Yoga. Yeah, I like stretching, and I like the meditation that yoga offers me. So I'm a big fan of yoga personally. So there's so many things going on here, right? Yoga is not witchcraft or sorcery. Yoga is not Christian. Yoga is not part of a religion. Yogic philosophy can be found in Hinduism, which is neither witchcraft nor sorcery, but another religion that I believe is a pathway to get to know God. So like, so if you don't believe that, maybe yoga's not for you, which is totally fine. But it's not part of witchcraft or sorcery, and they're not defining witchcraft or sorcery correctly in here anyway. Okay, crystals. I can't even give you how many crystals are mentioned in the Bible. There are so many. My philosophy on things like crystals, they're part of the earth, they're part of God's creation, they have their own frequency. If you're relying on a crystal for everything in your life, like if you think there's a magic crystal that's going to solve all of life's problems, unfortunately, I have other news for you. If you are using a crystal as a tool as part of your spiritual journey to help you and your intentions, to help you in your prayers, to help you in your manifesting, that's totally fine. It is a tool that we need to treat with respect as a creation of the earth that it is. And there's, in my opinion, again, witches, sorcerers may use crystals. That doesn't make them witchcraft or sorcery in and of themselves. And like I've said, this whole video, that's incorrectly defined in this kind of meme anyhow. Runes. I don't know a whole lot about runes, just a little bit. They're Northern European. They do come from a pagan Northern European tradition. If that bothers you, of course, don't use them. If you think that there may be one more way to connect to the divine, go for it. Pendulums. Well, like true confessions, I just traveled out of the country and I brought my pendulum with me. I used it with a client yesterday. I used it with myself yesterday too. Little pendulum I haven't used you today. My pendulum's awesome. It has a crystal on the end of it. Again, if you're using a pendulum to decide every single thing about your life, including major decisions, and you're not using your intuition, we need to start with the basics, right? Your pendulum should confirm your intuition. Again, witchcraft and sorcery? I don't think so. A tool of the earth? Absolutely. Psychic readings. So I don't think this person actually understands what psychic readings are. Let's see, someone who is a psychic, which is all of us have the ability to develop psychic abilities, is simply someone who's not reading minds, but reading the energy of an individual and able to have some insights about it. And manifesting, so my perspective is you're manifesting all the time, whether you're doing it consciously or not, go ahead and do it consciously. Then it says, don't play around with dark forces. This is racist. It's associating dark with bad and lightness or whiteness with good. So I try really hard not to even use those terms like be in the light, be in the dark. No. Don't play with dark forces is kind of inherently a thing that a lot of privileged people say. So we don't need to go there. I agree that we maybe don't need to engage with low vibration forces. Those are not going to serve you. We want to be at the highest vibration that we possibly can be all the time, which is of course modeled by Jesus, right? The person that we all follow, the being whom we all follow and trust him. Okay, do not invite them in. I don't know if you can invite in Transcendental Meditation, but if you figure that out, let me know. And then trusting God alone. It's okay. We're agreed there. Trusting God alone. So then how do you respond to someone when they're kind of coming at you with this? Well, as you've seen by this fairly long video by now, there's no one way. And the important thing when you're having a conversation with someone about all of this is that you get your own facts and figures straight, that you figure out what those are for you, and that you're actually not trying to persuade anyone, because there's no point. there's no point in trying to persuade anyone. All you can do is say what is true for you. Be really open to what someone else has to say. But if they're being low vibration, if they're being hostile, if they're yelling, if they're calling you names, don't engage. There's no point. So actually the secret to talking about this with other people is to make sure that they actually want to talk about it with you and to make sure your vibration is in the highest place it can be. If you go into this kind of conversation feeling really low vibration, feeling really uncertain, feeling angry, feeling like you want to run, the conversation is not going to go anywhere. I think the other 2 cents I have about this is that usually people that are feeling kind of hostile about this, they just want to throw Bible verses at you. And I think that's an inherently incorrect way to read the Bible. Throwing Bible verses around at people is short-sighted. We're not seeing it within the context of the whole. Maybe if they want to talk about a whole chapter, that would be one thing. But throwing a Bible verse at you is completely out of context. It is ripping scripture from its surroundings, which is not all that helpful. So that's actually something I stay really, really clear from in general. So I don't even agree with the philosophy of it. So, that person may not be ready to hear that, but you can always say, it sounds like that Bible verse is like we're just reading it by itself. I wonder what would happen if we read all of it together. So that's just another tool that you can have in your own toolbox. Just make sure you're at the highest vibration. Do your research, go for it. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. And thank you for this post because I think it's been a really, really helpful one. There's been a lot of conversation about it. I'm looking forward to more. And we'll talk to all of you soon. Let me know if you have any questions. And if you're really ready to get your story in order and make the best of your own gifts, of your own intuition, figure out if you can be a transcendental meditator, tarot reader, oracle card reader, engage in breathwork, yoga, crystals, rose, pendulum, psychic readings, or manifesting, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Talk to y'all soon.